after 2 seasons at Florida and 2 seasons with Oklahoma, 2-time All-American and recent NCAA singles finalist Layne Sleeth with the UTR of 10.81 will turn pro and will not use her last year eligibility. She played a number 1 singles and / number 2 doubles this past year with records of 62 and 21 in singles and 46 and 23 in doubles. Now this was already confirmed because she already walked on senior day, so this does not surprise me in the least bit. And I already know they already got transfers, 2 of them to be exact, and they also got 2 freshmen. But now they lose officially 3 starters in the singles lineup, and all those 3 are 3 in the top 4. The only exception is to number 2 with Dana Guzman. And now they for sure lose number 1 and number 2 doubles as well. I mean, both double teams, every single player is gone, not just half. So that's going to be interesting what happens there. So, and Oklahoma this past year was 22 and 10, 8 and 1 in the conference, and they were second place. And they were in the conference tournament. They lost to Texas in the final 4-1. I believe it was 4-1. Yeah, 4-2 actually. Correction, my bad. 4-2. They lost to Texas, and they fell in the Sweet 16. But here's the deal. They just had a bad matchup against Georgia, and they lost 4-1 in the Sweet 16. And it was at Georgia, at that, this past year. So, yeah. And they were, in a way, disappointing from the year ago as a team, because yes, they lost only 1 player, and she didn't even play in the NCAA tournament because she was like in Southeast Asian games, one of their better players. I don't remember her name, but once I see, they were 32 and 3 overall in 2022 with Layne Sleeth, 9-0 in the conference, but didn't win a conference tournament because they lost to Texas. They lost to Texas individual tournament 4-2. And even in a national title match, too. And they lost not 4-1. So, yeah. But I will say this right now. Oklahoma already knew from that year until from that magical run in 2022 to this past year, they were going to take a step back. One, it's hard to replicate all that success from the best year in school history when everything literally went their way, and it could have easily fallen in around the 32 to Arizona State in that year, and they could have lost in the Elite 8 or Final 4 prior to that national title match. But Sweet 16, they won that convincingly. So yeah, and Chisla Chanta didn't even play in the NCAA tournament. Yeah, so really, they only have 2 consistent players now from that team that played a bunch. Not only from the 2022 team, but this past year. And that's Dana Guzman and Emma Staker. I mean, yes, they have Julia Garcia Ruiz, but she's going to be a sophomore. And look, right now, I would not put them in the top 2 in the Big 12. Sorry. I wouldn't. Because Texas and Oklahoma State are on the way. Oklahoma State because they have added 3 solid transfers. And they're going to be stronger next year. Texas because, yes, I know they lost their court 1 to the transfer portal. Apparently, she entered the transfer portal. But they got an Old Dominion player, court 1. I mean, and they bring back everybody else. I mean, yes, they did lose 2 seniors, but at the end of the day, one of them was a walk-on, hardly played, and the other one got hurt halfway or early on the season and didn't play again. So really, they're bringing back everybody nearly. So, and that's just me being generous on where Oklahoma's going to be, because they could take a further step backwards. I mean, they could, legitimately, like the 4th place or 5th place. And this is the last year in the Big 12 for them, and we'll have to wait and see what the conference schedule is going to be, because every team in the Big 12 plays women's college tennis. So, yeah, and this is not only a notable for the Big 12, but nationally as well, because they were the number 13 seed overall. Now, teams could, for ITA, when the NCAA kickoff draft they won, they could go to Oklahoma now, and if they're good enough, they could beat Oklahoma at Oklahoma. It's not any secret. I mean, it really isn't. And I know Emma Staker from her freshman year took a step backwards to this past year in terms of record when you look at it. I mean, I'm telling the truth. Look at the numbers. I mean, we'll have to wait and see if she goes back to that freshman form or somewhere in between of last year and the year before. And who's going to be in their top 3 or 4, especially on number 1 and 2, when Carmen Corley turned pro too. Remember that. And I said at the time, don't be shocked if Layne Sleeth turns pro. She walked on senior day. Yep, this confirms it. And even if she would have stayed, and Oklahoma can't add anybody else. They can't. Because they don't have scholarship room right now. From what I gather. In terms of those 2 freshmen coming in, bring back almost everybody except those 4 seniors that consistently played. Yes, they have a 5th one, but she didn't even play. I mean, and this is also next year is going to be the last year of COVID years. So, for all those freshmen in 2019, 2020, I mean, like, 2020 especially, if spring 2020 or even fall 2019, this is your last COVID year. And obviously, that because there's no more years of eligibility remaining. Of course, if you're like an Ivy League player, though, and you were a freshman in 2021 and you couldn't play because your league didn't want to play, then you could certainly grad transfer out. But that's not really a COVID year per se. It's not. But it's certainly a notable. So, anyways, if you like this content, hit like and subscribe and see you guys later. Find scores we're on the road to. Let's go. And we'll have to wait and see how the rest of the conference looks too after Texas and Oklahoma State. To me, those are 2 top teams in the Big 12 going into next year. There's no question in my mind. It's a matter of who's going to finish third. Maybe Oklahoma's that 3rd place team. But it could be someone else, potentially. We'll have to wait and see.